Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another power-packed session of MarTech Thursday, hosted by E4M and MarTechAI.com. I am Brij Pahwa. I am your moderator and editorial lead for E4M and editorial head for MarTechAI.com. Um, we are at a pivotal moment. According to McKinsey, marketing is now the second most impacted and transformed function by AI, right after operations. From predictive segmentation to generative content, it's really reshaping how we have traditionally looked at marketing. Marketers earlier used to have skills, um, um, uh, skills, and they would actually come up and say we are good at psychoanalysis. Today, marketers are needed to be good at AI, to be good at automation, to be good at seeing what intelligence is all about. So today's session is titled "Inside the Funnel: How AI is Reshaping Marketing as We Know It." It is reshaping. I mean, there is no doubt about it. Um, a couple of stories we did was 80% CMOs say that, you know, in every functional task they do, there is an element of AI which has now gotten involved. And it has not just gotten involved, of course, on the end of the brand. It has mainly transformed the end of the user. For example, there was a very interesting example I was reading about, wherein Flipkart has now launched a service wherein you can upload a screenshot from Amazon, and it will give you almost a matching rate, something which Chroma used to do when you used to go to a Chroma store, and if something was priced above Amazon, then you would show the price of that product on Amazon, and Chroma would match that price. So amazing use case applications are happening. Let me quickly welcome our panel. We have Tathagat Jena, who is the head of marketing HMD Global, famed for the Nokia phones. Esha Gupta, former product lead, Airtel and Myntra. Anuradha Gupta, executive director marketing, Deloitte. Eshan Kaul, AI researcher and investor, formerly with JP Morgan. Vikas Nair, VP and head of marketing, Century Real Estate. Thank you everybody for joining us. So my first question to all of my first question, and you can pitch in one by one. So if we had to strip it down to just one area in marketing where AI has made the biggest impact, where would it be? Would it be awareness, attribution, omni-channel, personalization, content? Where it would be? I think we can start with the Tathagat. You know,
Yeah, we're still at a very early stages in terms of adoption. Not will not shy away from that. Uh, the first thing that I feel is that AI's biggest you know truth, consumer outward truth is comes in the form of search. So when we are looking at our digital budget and our search and performance budget, that's what it is, has the most immediate impact. Our search strategy has changed from really keyword based search to more intent based search. So at any area, whether it is PMAX or anything, we are really relooking at our search strategies. One, secondly, because consumers are searching differently, it is no longer, it's important that we augment our each of our content feeds and blogs in such a manner that we show up better to the consumers for what we stand for in the way that consumers are searching nowadays. So that is the number one. Number two is that because we are a pan India brand, and our retail points are far and wide. At times, our research that we want to do, it is not we are not a leading brand that we will be doing the research in terms of only Tom scores and how we are lagging behind competitions. We really want to understand what goes behind the retailer and the consumer track point. So what we also are doing right now, and the researches are never really always a commissioned research once done large scale. It is a series of researches which keep on happening every week, every month. So we are trying to capture those audio bites of those interactions and trying to form a summary out of that, that what is really happening in the market, to get a better understanding of the market. These are the two, at a very basic level, is what we are using AI for. And like everybody else, we are keen to show how it really shapes up.
Anuradha ji, from a from a consultant's point of view, I'd put in the same question. You would be interacting with a lot of brands. You have that multifaceted view. Where do you think brands are using right now in terms of AI's application in marketing the most?
So I'll put it on in two different ways. I think, B2B and B2C are using it a little differently. As a professional services marketing team, obviously our GTM sales cycle is a lot different. And Deloitte personally, we are, regulated business, so we cannot advertise, right? So we are really focusing on how do we get to market faster, whether it's in terms of our content, our multimedia, because our volumes are going up exponentially. So that is where we are using it a lot more. So whether it's content, multimedia, and since we cannot advertise, we have our key client segments there, right? So how are we personalizing our content better, right? So those are the areas that we see, maximum change internally at Deloitte, right? And for B2C, I think, AI is nothing but a boom, because again, over there you can, it's no longer funnel, right? We're talking about a funnel, but it's like you have to meet your customer everywhere, and that can happen across platforms, etc. And that AI enables you to do that, right? So that's where I see a big shift.
Yeah, I see. The metaphor parable which comes into my mind is AI is like a waterfall, and
Yeah.
as with different streams, operations can go fill their mug, marketing can go fill their mug. Eshan, you are an AI researcher. You must be tracking a lot of companies. You have worked in one of the biggest global brands. How do you see AI evolve in the marketing funnel?
First of all, thank you so much, Brij. I think Tathagat and Anuradha had some excellent insights in the way they look at the evolution of AI. I'd just like to simplify the entire lens a little bit because, again, there are multiple, as you peel the onions, there can be multiple nuances. Broadly, the biggest benefit that AI is going to have on sales and marketing is hyper personalization at scale, right? So if you take my example, 10 years back when I would walk into a Levi's showroom, I'd get very impressed because the salesman would say, sir, aapka weight ye hai, this is going to look good on you. He knew me, he knew when my birthday is, he knew the colors I wear. So that personalization was possible, but scale wasn't possible. So you could either do hyper personalization or you could do scale. Example of scale is you would see those Vico turmeric ads, but those same Vico turmeric ads would be blasted to 700 million people. There wasn't personalization whether Eshan needs a Vico turmeric or not. For the first time now in history, because AI can understand unstructured context, it can consume hordes of data. It knows what emails I read, it knows what my search history is, it knows the kind of colors I like. For the first time, you can do both of these, which is hyper personalization as well as do it for hundreds and millions of people at very reduced cost. So I think that's the key summary of where I see the maximum benefit coming from AI.
Hyper personalization. I think this point I'll reiterate, and I've spoken it past in various forums. A lot of people today are using AI under the garb of automation. So they're not really using the intelligence prescription of it. And we can delve more into it. Vikas, over to you.
Yeah, I think AI has had a impact across touch points, so to say. But then I think the most transformative, I think, has been on the content side. I think it's truly kind of democratized content generation. So even within the team, I think today we don't, I mean, necessarily need a copywriter for something, for like a social media post, for example. It can be generated through one of these things. It's brought a lot of efficiency, I would say. I think it saves a lot of time. What used to take maybe weeks has now kind of reduced to a couple of hours probably. And it's not just, I think the impact has not just been on the content as such, but also the process of generating that content, which is about strategizing, which is about researching some insights, which is about probably even scripting, calendarizing. So I think AI has really kind of like, made a big difference there. And what used to take a team of people, probably, I can manage with maybe one person who was working with AI to kind of put this out together and put it out a lot faster than what we were able to do, let's say about 6 months back. And even in terms of performance, in terms of even testing whatever content you've prepared, let's say for performance ads, I mean, it usually was some kind of guesswork, some kind of some anecdotal evidence of this kind of creative has worked for this kind of audiences, etc. But I think that has now changed. There's a lot of insight. We can test it at scale. We can really figure out from data what is working, what is not working. So I think a big transformative impact on content creation, content generation. I think what Eshan was saying, hyper personalization. Again, the opportunity to kind of businesses to talk to individuals. I think that is entirely new. We've all heard of B2B, B2C. Now there's something called B2P. So that's really interesting. I think that's apart from content, I think there's been significant impact on the performance side also. I mean, but I just feel it's been a little incremental in comparison to content generation. And like you were saying, I mean, it's a lot of automation is being tagged as intelligence. Probably on that front, but I feel even in terms of customer experience, I think it's had a good impact. In fact, on-demand lead servicing. So I represent a real estate brand, and real estate brands are notorious for cold calls and calling you probably through the day. But I think what has happened of late is also an opportunity for us to figure out what is the best media or medium for us to reach out to a customer, whether it is through a phone call or whether it is through a WhatsApp message or an email. What's the most preferred channel? What is the most preferred time where the customer is most likely to kind of respond or read? So all these things are things that have happened over the last, let's say, a year or so, and it's in general has improved the customer experience part as well. So I think AI definitely, I mean, it's one of those moments like how I think in the early 2000s the internet really kind of changed everything around. I think we are probably at that point in time, I guess, again.
Hmm. So, thanks, Vikas. Before I come to you, Isha, to our viewers, if you have any questions, you can, put it in the question box on your screen. We'll put it to our panelists after about half an hour of discussion from now. Isha, you have worked with two mass consumer-facing brands, Airtel and
Yeah.
Myntra. Where did you see was the highly applicable use case of AI in marketing with those two brands? Very interesting to know.
So what's really interesting is that AI has kind of brought together the whole marketing and product world much more closer today. Earlier they were like working in silos, both these teams and both these functions. The product is building their own stuff and marketing is selling their own product. But because today AI has kind of made our lives more efficient with data insights, with predictive analytics, understanding our customer better, in improving our creative efficiencies, the two departments work very, very closely together, and that's ultimately helping the business and the customer both, right? So let me give you an example at Myntra, for instance. And I worked on a product which was a AI assistant for fashion designers. It was mostly focused on the B2B side of things, but was also impacting our customer at the end of the day. So I was working on Vota.ai, which is nothing but a AI driven fast fashion and a recommendation engine which was designed for fashion designers, category managers, business managers, who can kind of predict what kind of styles will really rock 2025 summer or rock 2025 winter, and what is the global trend report saying versus what is your competition designing. And therefore it's really helping our fashion design teams come up with faster launch styles much faster, maybe in a window of 3 to 4 months, as opposed to 10 months to a year. Generally, that's the typical design life cycle. But because of AI, they are able to crunch it down to just 3-4 months, and that's a huge win, right? Because they're saving a lot of time. That is one for efficiency. When it comes to losses and operational productivity and optimization, our category managers are now doing better with the help of AI recommended reports and insights, because they are able to really reduce losses. They are able to really place their bets in a manner where they know what the customer will buy in the future, what has not worked for them in the past, and they will plan their assortment and inventory in a manner that will not hurt the business but will benefit the customer. And for the seller who is selling on Myntra, he's winning with the help of AI because he now knows his customer really very well. He's not just looking at superficial data that, okay, my customer is from so and so city or this age group. That's very superficial understanding of the customer. Today, the seller who's selling on Myntra has a very deeper understanding of his customer. Where is he coming from? What are the other products he's buying? Who's the competition for us? What is the propensity of this customer buying in the future? What has he bought in the past, and therefore how should I kind of tackle this customer? So all these insights are helping everyone in the ecosystem, right from the fashion designer to the category manager to the marketer who's selling these products on Myntra, versus the customer who's ultimately buying, because he's now feeling more he's feeling that he's getting a lot of attention, and therefore he's more likely to buy. So the conversions and the CTRs have really improved. So that's Myntra. Coming at Airtel, Airtel
Uh,
being a very,
I,
yeah,
if you can reserve these remarks for your second,
yeah,
I'll come back to Tathagat,
yeah.
because we have about an hour of discussion and about 25-30 minutes remaining before we open to audience's questions. Thank you, Isha. I'm sorry for barging in. Tathagat, you talked about how, you have retail stores pan India. How do you train your AI models? Because today most models are trained on, certain demographics, right? And when you open a store or when you are trying to sell to a consumer who is in a certain section of the country where data is not readily available, how do you then train your AI model? How do you then approach that customer, and how do you then hyper personalize?
Well, we are not in the business of actually opening, stores. It is really the the multi-brand and multi-product stores that we are. So the training is right now is about, like I said, what we are trying to do is that we are trying to make everyday research mean something. So, for example, because let's say we have 300 odd salespeople who are every day out there in the market there, and sitting in a head office, you kind of judge the performance of that twice a month at the end of the month, etc. But you want to really, for example, let's say a particular state is lacking despite all inputs being given, and you'd struggle to come up with that. You would want to go to that state yourself and try to figure out what is really the issue. What I was trying to point out is that the regular sales versus retailer with the consumers interactions. So there would be a person with, let's say, a recorder, and all those audio files, there could be 300 400 audio files. We kind of have a system where we try and give those interactions to say that what is it exactly the retailer is saying. So we get much more straight information analytics of that, without really waiting for you know a particular bias to come into it, because even within, let's say, sales, there are four or five levels. So if there is a problem, we would like it directly to hear from the horse's mouth, from the distributor or from the retailer. That is what we are trying to make the AI use for. I have another question which emanated from Eshan, but I'll reserve it and I will allow you to go with your flow first.
No, no,
This is regarding hyper
you can,
personalization.
you can, you can.
Very short question is that we have been all, and hyper personalization is really helping. But at the same time, we also deal a lot with Amazon, for our online sales, and they have been telling us that their model of this, I don't know the correct pronunciation, but Rufus is also helping them a lot in terms of buyers making better decisions on their site. As a marketer, I'm a little bit confounded by the fact that every big digital engine, whether it is Meta or Google or even Amazon, they're the three big daddies when it comes to the advertisers wallet. All that advertising does intrinsically is interception. And so therefore a certain product, a certain certain tile at let's say on an Amazon, etc., commands more of a premium than something which is down the funnel. So if that is how the advertising structure is taking place, and you are trying to interrupt a consumer who could be probably looking for a different product, hyper personalization and let's say a shopping assistant, or a capable shopping assistant, which kind of makes it better for the consumers. But how do brands really tackle that conundrum in terms of I'm spending money as well, but I am you know the guy is not even considering me. That is really a
I think that's a very pertinent question. Ishan,
yeah.
would you? Yes, directed to you.
Yeah. I think again there are multiple nuances to this. My take on this is, and again I could be wrong. I think the way things are evolving right now, the way modern search engines are being built, and you have generative engine optimization. I think a lot of brands are now gonna potentially try and shift the discovery from traditional platforms like e-commerce, D2C brands towards more AI native, originators like a Perplexity or a GPT. So as opposed to somebody keying in that I want to buy a jeans or a shirt like this or something like that, the modern AI tools, and now that these AI tools have come to the browser as well, right? I know Perplexity has just launched a new browser, so it knows everything that you've been doing, knows all of your emails. I believe that's where on the brand side, because see, the larger marketplaces are always going to give priority to either their third party brands or people who pay them the maximum money in terms of advertising. So it's always a losing battle when you're pitted against the platforms. But that's where the AI native brands can reorganize themselves and think of some of these modern techniques, think of generative AI optimization to battle some of these incumbents and rank higher in terms of a user preference. That's my limited take on this.
No, so I had a question. I mean, of course, this also really takes us to a very very crude demand and supply game. So if let's say a generative AI is tracking all of your emails, it knows specifically what you are trying to buy. It knows where as a customer your preferences are, and it will omit a brand, which you don't want to even see. Now then the question arises is how can a new brand which probably gets wants to get into a customer's hindsight then actually come into the play. And I think that's a very Anuradha ji, would you want to take it up?
Yeah, I think, taking on from what San said, that, right, like with the new technology, it's very interesting. Like, how are they going to, make a space, right, in your mind space? So again, I think we are learning as we go, to be honest, right? We are also talking to agencies, on a daily basis to say that, what else can we do with our target audience, right? And my space, unfortunately, is not as exciting as some of the B2C brands, right? So it makes it a little more complicated. I think for us, what we are trying to push is different messaging, right? So, like Deloitte typically is seen as a big four, but right now, the way our scale and scope of business is increasing, right, we're also competing with other brands like Accenture, IBM, etc. So, for us, the way we would be looking at it is, how are we sharing the same mind space as another set of things. So that again comes back to how are we personalizing our content, understanding what our consumers are buying, right, from the data that is available with us, and customizing messages accordingly. But beyond that, how it is working, we are also learning as we go. And I'm happy to learn from other folks on the panel as well in terms of how they're doing it.
The thing which makes these discussions more and more interesting is that all of us are learning while trying
Absolutely.
to explain
So
other people
one
to
of the
speak.
things, when I got this opportunity to speak, I was like, do I know enough to even speak? Because we are learning as we go, and and the best way to learn is to really talk to other people and say, hey, how are you solving for this problem? How are we solving this together? So I think every day you learn something new. So.
I want to deep dive more. Vikas, you are in a sector which is, traditionally where the purchase cycles are long, offline touch points dominate, customer data is,
That's good, yeah.
fragmented, right? How do you then architect a marketing stack, for, a category like real estate?
Yeah, I mean, when compared to more evolved or newer businesses like e-com, where the entire purchase cycle is tracked very closely, each event is monitored, and there's a lot of intelligence that you can gather from all these things about what the customer is doing on your website or your app. I come from a sector where most of the conversations, most of the events happen offline, right? So somewhere all these things have to come and sit in a system. So we use CRM, we use Salesforce, where all the customer intelligence basically sits there. But of course, there's still a lot of dependencies on the people who are having these conversations, which could be the sales team or the CRM team or somebody pre-sales calling team, etc., for them to kind of put in this data into the CRM system. But having said that, we've started experimenting with I don't know if I should be calling them AI agents, but at least softwares and tools which can do some of these activities, especially since we are in since the product obviously is a very high involvement product, and it involves conversations over a period of time, and multiple people are involved. There are multiple considerations which come into picture before a decision is taken, etc. So that the good thing about that is it gives us a lot of customer touch points, a lot of opportunities for us to communicate what we want, and some of these things can be like, for example, we've started using AI agents to kind of do first level servicing of the leads that we capture from our campaigns. So not all leads have the highest intent, obviously. Some of them are window shopping. Some of them have just clicked the button by mistake, apparently. So these are some challenges that we usually have. And the first level filtration happens through automated bot. I think, in fact, even before an automated bot kicks in, we have a WhatsApp bot which kind of gives you the first level information as soon as you kind of fill a form on Facebook or come on my landing page and drop an inquiry. The first touch point is usually about giving you an introduction of the product, giving you some key information about it, followed by an automated call, which is now it's become a lot more intelligent. It is able to kind of converse. Earlier, it used to be just an IVR message, just spitting out whatever was fed. But now it is programmed. It is more intelligent. It's able to capture certain keywords from that conversation, push it back into a CRM system, and then that CRM system gets recently. We are working with Meta to kind of push back the customer journey that happens on the CRM system, the intelligence from there into the Meta platform. So that when we do our campaigns, when we run our campaigns on Instagram, it is able to kind of create similar audiences. It's able to understand, okay, these kind of people have more propensity to kind of like buy a product like this. So I mean, it's a lot harder for a business like offline business like real estate. But in any case, I don't think there is an option to like stay out of this. Obviously, it brings in a lot of efficiencies. There's a lot of advantages. It improves our customer experience part. So yeah, we're trying to kind of explore as many of these new age opportunities that are there to kind of pull in intelligence, put it in a system, and then like try to leverage that.
As marketers, how we want to leverage the more practical applications of AI. I think deep down the main focus still remains how do we read data, and considering now that a large amount of data overflow is happening, how do we actually read it, sensitize it, build our LLMs, reach the right customer. For example, the other day I was surfing on, I was just going through my Instagram and I suddenly got an ad of a Suzuki product, a Suzuki car, which was ranged around 10 to 15 lakhs. And then just about 3 ads later, I had a BMW which was ranged around 60 to 70 lakhs. So there is a certain issue which has happened in data sensitization in either of these brands. One is thinking that I'm a 60 to 70 lakh customer, one is thinking I'm a 10 to 20 lakh customer, which means that we are still not reading data very carefully and properly. So that takes me to my next question to Isha. Uh, you were saying, you were coming to Airtel, and if you could merge that answer with how do we actually, which stack to use? Can we build our own stack? I know a lot of brands today are building their own stacks to read data properly because, you know, again, stacks are customized to their own needs. How do we actually manage to read proper, right user data without a flaw? We are in an age where AI is actually taking over everything. Systems are becoming more and more correct. They are losing less and less information, but we are still very, very far away from reading the data right. How can we do that?
I think that's a real concern because depending on AI, like our large language models, our LLMs are not 100% foolproof as of today. And therefore, some element of human intelligence and some element of human verification is still very important. You really cannot, drive your campaigns or, run your products just purely on AI because of the known issues that we know that the models hallucinate. There's a lot of bias in the results that they produce, and therefore even at Airtel, like the spam detection feature that we launched, where today whenever the model detects that this most likely is like a spam call or a junk call, and it gives you that, it flags it before you even pick up the call. So that was a mix of human algorithms. There's a lot of data that was fine tuned at our end manually, and that was fed into the models, trained them, and then it was able to do a better job at identifying, okay, these numbers, these are the patterns. AI helped us do pattern recognition and identify certain cohorts and certain patterns that really helped us say with guarantee 100% confidence that these numbers are spam or junk calls, and therefore we can flag them. But still, not all the user base that Airtel has, we can say with confidence that all junk calls have still not been eliminated. So we are going to get there, but like I said, that Anuradha also said, we are all learning, and it's a process. The models are getting better. We are getting better, with the insights that we get from our engines, and then they are being fed that refined data, and the results are better. So it's like a journey. It's like a continuous process, and it will take time, but we've definitely improved our efficiency and our productivity with the help of AI. So it's no longer going to eliminate or take away our jobs. So that fear that it's going to kill creativity or it's going to take away marketing jobs or operations jobs, I think what will really happen is it will kind of reshuffle everything. Instead of taking away or washing out opportunities or creativity, it's more like a co-pilot. So we are sitting in the driver's seat and we have AI assisting us on our on our ride, on our journey, and helping us deliver better. I think that's the whole outcome of AI being used in various applications across industries.
Hmm. Um, Tathagat, I'd come back to you. Is there an insight, considering you are dealing with a large amount of audience? Is there insight about users, audience that surprised you? Change the way you are marketing? Because I think the best way to learn is the practical application. I think we can keep talking about what is happening, what is, in terms of innovations, but in terms of practical application, is there a data set? Is there a data point which surprised you, which actually, you were going in a certain direction and then you had to completely change it? You are on mute. You're still on mute. Yeah.
Yeah. So, See, if you look at the journey of HMD, also it's a holding brand for Nokia, and and we're still trying to establish our own brand. Now, historically, even when we saw our target consumer, they tended to be of a certain geography, uh, not so much from the metros, but more from the tier 2, tier 3 cities, and also from a more age profile was actually distinctively 35 plus, and we have gotten most of our successes, whether it is feature phones or smartphones, through that. When it comes to really a surprise, that I would not say that surprise, but then let's say somebody who is envisioning a particular brand, new. So even when our and that's this data, we kind of really push back a lot with our our global counterparts also, because everybody actually wants to launch a very young brand. Because everybody believes that 20 to 25 is where the audiences lie. But if there is a huge discrepancy between people who are already buying you and who you want to target, then you would actually not be winning in the short term. If you have a very long term strategy, you may win that. So therefore we actually used these data points to try and say that, look, anybody who is buying HMD more or less need to be positively inclined towards Nokia. So even in our media choices, in our TG optimizations, etc., from about 12 to 15 months back to now, we have going again to the audiences which has got a largest propensity to buy us, which is the 30 plus audiences. That is what I would say, that data has repeatedly shown us. When it comes to surprise, maybe just one example that comes out, that when we recently launched the HMD Barbie, it was a phone which is basically a very niche product. It was more like a detox product. We were not really very sure about how it will feature in, but contrary to every other devices, almost 99% of our devices sold, the Barbie actually sold its maximum in Delhi, Bombay, and Bangalore. So in a way, I really wouldn't credit AI to. We were totally zapped that, okay, most of our consumers are from tier 2, tier 3 cities, but how come this kind of a product, 75% of our sales came from tier 1 cities? I would just sum it as that.
Hmm. Interesting to note. Anupama had a question. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question for Anuradha. So recently, you all might have known that the IBM has opened its first agentic AI innovation center yesterday in Bangalore. So it is a strong move towards pushing hands-on AI adoption and enterprise settings. So how, in your experience with the clients at Deloitte, are Indian CMOs ready to restructure agentic and AI models, or what is your take on it?
So I think we frankly don't have a choice, right?
Right.
The whole role of the CMO has, is evolving, continues to evolve, right? And earlier it was more in the space of brand storytelling, how do you sort of bring out your, even for someone like Deloitte, right? Like, which was sort of audit, tax, etc. It was all about, how do you create awareness through storytelling, clients, etc. But directionally now, and the role of the CMO is to move towards how are you really impacting, demand gen, sales, etc. So we are also exploring different tools and ways of saying, and whether it is client CMOs that we are speaking to, whether, it is ourselves as a unit. It's a matter of time that we figure out what we can do. But for sure, agentic is very much, on the cards, and something that we are also doing for our clients. Like AI as a theme is very important for us, Gen AI, agentic, etc. So we are also as one of our marketing teams, sort of breaking it down, you'll see we've just launched a series, on, we've called it AI Appreciation Week, etc. So for different target segments, including marketing, we're actually, driving those conversations aggressively. So it's really a matter of time. But everyone's also a little wary, right? What are the choices that you make? Everyone has to make strategic choices given that you have limited funds. So part of it will be exploring. There are also, when you're a brand as big as Deloitte, there are constraints in terms of what you can build or build, in terms of getting on external stakeholders. So it's a matter of time, but it's very much I'd say it's a matter of time.
Great. We'll open to the audience. We have two questions right now. Karan Mehta from Urban Piper. With generative AI everywhere, how do you ensure brand voice consistency across automated content? Um, Over to you, Eshan. I think the answer is simple, but yes, I'll go to
Yeah.
you. Yes.
Yeah, I think content, right? There are three parts to the entire content funnel, I would say. One is the content creation part. Second is the content optimization part, which is your SEO and stuff, and the third is the content distribution. I think the shortest part towards disaster is making sure it's an agentic AI with no human being who's doing it, right? So the key is two aspects. A, ensure there is explainability in your AI. For example, if AI is taken a certain decision that I'm going to target this person, this audience, make sure that you're able to attribute why the AI took that decision, because that's the only way you can reverse engineer it and take the right decisions. And second, as I rightly said, the final send button has to be in the hands of a human being. It cannot
Yeah.
be in the hands of AI. So yeah.
I was reading somewhere, you can outsource your writing, but not your thinking. So I think that's very important.
Yeah. Beautifully put.
The point is, we are about to outsource our thinking, thinking as well.
I think Netflix also does that. They use AI in auto-generating their thumbnails, but that decision still lies with the editor, the content team, right? Like AI is giving them suggestions basis consumers' past viewing history or the kind of genres they like or the kind of movies they've watched and they are likely to watch. So the thumbnails every person watches sometimes is also personalized because they want to kind of understand the customer emotion better. They want to improve the CTRs for every customer differently. And therefore, AI helps them. But the decision still, I think, lies with the editorial team at Netflix. So I was reading about it and kind of thought of sharing this.
I think
One
it will be
one
a
bite that I would like to just
yes.
add is that yes, there is so much of noise right from our waking up till our going to
Yeah.
bed. Every news feed, every post,
Yeah.
every blog is about AI, and in
Yeah.
between there are also the news like
Including our website. Sorry.
yeah, Sam Altman saying, AI will take away 95% of marketing jobs, etc. So
Yeah.
all of that is there. But I think while we are great at adapting human beings, and so we will, I think intuitively once we are, using AI not as a marketeer but as individuals or consumers also, I think
Yeah.
intuitively we are all forcing ourselves to ask better questions. I will give a
Yeah.
very small example. Recently, I was on a vacation, and normally when you're outside the country, you use Google in a certain way. You use your internet in a certain way. This time, by the second or the third day, I was my prompts were that okay, I've got 10 hours. I want to visit only one museum and one cathedral, and I want to get 3 hours for shopping. And please package my day. We ourselves are
Yeah.
getting better at asking questions. So I think,
Yeah.
like Anuradha said, we are. It's a matter of time. We will also be probably far different, individuals 6 months down the line.
Absolutely true. I mean,
That's true.
I was in Paris on my honeymoon, and I was somebody told me that there are areas which are not safe at night for couples, and I think we are training our AI models, and while we are training them, I think we are training ourselves as well. So
Yeah.
I think it'll be a symbiotic relationship of helping each other till the time when AI takes over and we are all just
So I think one key
yes,
skill
Vikas.
set. I think one key skill set. I think is very relevant at the moment, at least when things are so fluid and everybody is claiming everything to be AI, is to spot what is not AI. Otherwise, I think you will
Yeah.
end up spending too much time on the wrong things. And there's every day I think there are like 10 agencies pitching some solution which has got some AI in it, and then you get tracked down that hole. And I think one key skill set is to really understand what kind of can serve your purpose and what you should not waste your time on, because everything is AI apparently.
Yeah.
One
Agreed.
one question I personally have in my mind is, a lot of consumers are wary about, how deep hyper personalization can take a brand into their lives. And we have laws in India, we have the DPDP Act, we have global laws, but marketers find their way. Where do we draw the line? Where do we draw a line as to not creep out a customer? One example I always use is I was searching something on Blinkit, and suddenly that same thing which I was searching on Blinkit appeared in the search result of Flipkart, without me even typing out. I mean, of course, uh, a very senior executive from Tech Mahindra, we were interviewing Anupama, and I were interviewing her, and she went on record and said that our phones are listening, are
Yeah, like phones are listening to us
at
or not. Is
yes,
it?
at all the times, etc. So where do we draw the line to this movement of hyper personalization? I will go to you, Ishan, first, and then to you, Anuradha ji.
Yeah, yeah. So there are two aspects of it, right? So one is the regulatory aspect. I think if you look at the acts in Europe, I think they've been the first movers in this, in really taking steps towards ensuring data privacy. Like what happened
Yeah.
with
Denmark.
Google Chrome, third party cookies being deprecated.
No, but
So
they come back.
sorry.
They have not. They have come back. So Google wanted to phase it out, but they haven't.
Right, and then with the anti-competition laws, with the Department of Justice saying that the collaboration between Apple and Chrome, in terms of Chrome being Apple's default browser. So I believe one aspect is, as AI develops, globally the privacy laws are also going to evolve accordingly. That's
Get
one.
stricter. Yeah.
And secondly, I think the ball is always often going to be in the consumers, in the users court. For example, in modern day browsers, you can actually choose, this is the information I'm okay to share, this is the information I'm not okay to share, because a lot of customers eventually are very happy if your Siri can give you a recommendation of exactly what you want. They don't mind that, right? Because they are looking at it as a way towards efficiency. So I don't think there's going to be a very clear demarcation of this is right and this is wrong. I think it's going to be a combination of how the regulatory landscape evolves and how much control the users want to have.
Yeah, we need stricter laws, right? Like Denmark's copywriting law recently works in favor of uh, works in favor of humans, because deep fakes and all this doing the rounds is really like threatening privacy. And YouTube has also kind of changed its monetization policy by completely they've put a stop on AI. 100% AI generated videos for monetization, right? So, yeah, I think as we are integrating AI into our everyday lives and into everything that we do, companies are also getting stricter with laws and policies, and that's really important to kind of keep that safety distance, as you say it.
Yeah, I think the challenge, or I mean, the reason probably is that the brands are trying to chase what a customer wants before even the customer knows he wants it, right? So as
Yeah.
long as I think that is there, I mean, you're constantly trying to listen to somebody, you're constantly trying to figure out what is happening. I mean that, but then that's business, that's life, I guess. So I think the right way to do it probably is like what Ishan was saying earlier, to give it to the consumer to decide how much of information you will. Somebody like me who's been in marketing, I'm happy to share. I'm happy to share my browsing patterns. I'm happy to share my, whatever content I consume, because I want more relevant content. I don't want to kind of get lost in something which I'm not kind of interested in. But then obviously I don't want them to listen to what conversations I'm having at home. So yeah, I mean, I think it's up to the customer to decide really what information is to be shared, and definitely for the brand to come out and be transparent and talk about how they are collecting this information. And I'm not even sure if these are brands that are collecting this information. At the end of the day, these are platforms that are collecting this information.
Yeah.
At least the years that I have worked in marketing, I haven't had access to any kind of speech to text where I kind of have access to some private conversations I'm having, how much ever I would probably want to. I mean, I don't know what kind of brands. I mean, there are some bigger brands here. Maybe you can tell us, but I don't think that information is available for any brands as such. That's with the platform, and that's the platform uses it to their advantage.
So I'll use these as closing remarks. So Anuradha, do you want to add to this?
Uh, at least, Deloitte, again, being a regulated business, etc., just as a philosophy, we're very careful about things like privacy, etc., and, really respecting what the customer wants to sort of hear from us, right? So that goes without saying. And, we also have safeguards and all in place in terms of how often we communicate, right, with our customers, etc., right? So while we operate and we have a lot of campaigns which are at a brand awareness level, I totally agree that respecting any customers, decision in terms of how much they want to interact with the brand, simply has to be respected, and we are just regulated by our internal risk policies to do that. But at a personal level, I agree with Vikas. Being a marketer, I'm very open to sharing my data because I want to be in that algorithm where I get updates on all the latest things that I'm personally interested in. So I think a little bit of that, how you operate at an individual level, if you are willing to share, I think that's fine. And again, we'll just have to see, how much we want to get. But I do believe uh, personalization is the way to go. Clients want to know how their problems can be solved, right? And they're willing to. So the trade-off is going to be how much information are they willing to share to get access to the information to solve their problem, right? So that's how we have to make the content and the information you also give out relevant for them. That's where I think the trade-off will be.
Tathagat, closing comments?
Yeah, I think when you started off by saying how much is creepy, I think we are getting more and more comfortable with all of that. That we know that the phones are really listening. Yes, every now and then, even though I like stuff tailored to me, but sometimes it sounds like an echo chamber. So a lot of times, being in the devices business, I go and change all the default settings to so that at least I get different videos on YouTube and Instagram, and even on Netflix. So that is on my own, so that I don't get only the things that of a certain nature. I think just one point to that is that the privacy laws which Eshan mentioned, typically they have they have a bit of a lag. I think when with so much of digital invasion of the last 10 years, the GDPR rules still took a lot of time coming. I just hope that that gets speeded up, because the AI speed is absolutely killing. So the those needs to be in time. And as far as maintaining a uh, personal data, I think one should just stop at one should exercise maximum caution when it comes to financial data, whether it is your pins or your CVVs or if you're all of that. That's where lies the maximum threat and to a customer. But barring that, I think one could learn to live with it.
Great. Uh, I think you know what's actually clear is that adopting AI is not about chasing the hype. I think it's asking better questions, being more human, learn as it learns, we learn, and staying grounded in the why behind the technology. A lot of learnings today from this session. However, it is, as is customary for us and has been the tradition, that we always close these webinars with irrelevant rapid fire questions. So please get ready. So Tathagat, there's one interesting section for the audience so that we can move away from the serious discussion. So
Okay.
Tathagat, if you go to a mobile store, which brand you are buying, and you cannot buy HMD or Nokia.
Samsung.
Okay. Um, Anuradha ji, what's your comfort food after a stressful day?
There'll have to be something sweet, a dessert, any dessert, which I have to try and get off. But yeah,
Okay. Eshan, if not an AI enthusiast, what would you have been in a parallel universe?
Hmm. Swimmer.
Singer.
Swimmer.
Swimmer.
तैरने वाला.
Wow.
Isha, one piece of career advice you give but you don't follow, like leading companies.
One piece of career advice I give, but I don't follow.
Yeah.
Because I remember last time you were at the mixer, you were with a company and now you're not. So please, just sorry, please ignore what I said.
Uh, I okay, so I always say that like work life balance is important,
Hmm.
and I've learned it the hard way that
To
work
only
life
live life,
balance is
to only live
sorry.
life, to only live life to the fullest.
Yeah, I mean, so I love hustling. I'm a hustler, but you really need to be very cognizant of your time versus work time, and you really cannot like sacrifice your personal time for work because ultimately health is at health gets compromised. And now that we are flooded with information and with AI at our disposal all the time, health becomes not just physical health. I think mental health also becomes equally important, and we all should kind of focus on our well-being even more in this
Interesting,
time and age.
interesting takeaway. Vikas, what's one show or series you have been watched you'd recommend to our audience?
So that I think Seinfeld is one show that I keep going back to. Office is another show I keep going back to. I definitely would recommend.
Interesting. Uh, that by the way, that question was from my end. So I am looking for a new series, but I watched both of those. So,
That's
uh,
it. I heard there's a new series called Corporate. I just saw it. Yeah.
oh, anyway, I think we can have another webinar on this, and I think that would be a total hit, where we just discussed OTT and web shows. To everyone who has joined us, thank you for being part of this conversation. I think as we move along, we do these webinars, fortnightly. We'll keep on deep diving into, what is happening, where we are going, because the field in itself is so dynamic that all of us are learning day in and day out. As Tathagat very rightly mentioned, OpenAI is coming up with their own browser. I think that will completely revolutionize how internet works, because they're already coming with so much of data, wherein Google Chrome had to garner data later using cookies, etc. OpenAI will already have a lot of information before they launch. So, I mean, I think that would be revolutionary here. So, to everyone who has joined us, thank you for being part of this conversation. I think if there's one last takeaway, is that AI won't replace marketers, but
No.
marketers who use AI just might.
Yeah.
Great. Stay curious, stay experimental. Thank you. We'll see you in another show of MarTech Thursday webinar. Bye bye.
thanks everyone.
Thanks,
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much,
Thanks.
Bridge,
Bye.
Anupama, and everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.